Hello guys, how are you doing? You're welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're most welcome. My name is Chichi for short, and if you're a returning subscriber, you are the absolute best. Thanks for always coming back. On this channel, it's all about fashion, lifestyle, DIY, and everything that goes on around me. Okay, so once again, you're welcome back. So today's video, I'm going to be showing us how this very beautiful hip extended shawl jacket was done. This jacket, I came across this and I felt okay, I should come and share with us how this can be achieved, and that is what this tutorial is all about. I made this jacket using pieces of leftover fabrics that ordinarily I would have thrown away, but I decided to keep them and felt like okay, someday I'm going to make use of them, and I hope it comes out very well. And if you're interested in knowing how this piece was put together, sit right back, relax and enjoy. I have these two pattern papers that I'm going to be putting together to give me just one piece for this pattern drafting, and here we have it as one piece, and this is what I'll be using for the drafting of the pattern. But before that, I'm going to be marking out a space at the upper and at the side area of the pattern paper. So I'll be marking 5 inches from the upper side of the pattern paper, and I join it together with the help of a straight through, just like so. Then I come to the side of the pattern paper just like this. That's the front side, the side facing me, and I mark also 5 inches all the way down. And that being done, I have this part of the pattern paper to draft the jacket itself. So I'll be marking out the vertical measurement, which includes the armhole length, the breast point, the under bust, the half waist, and then the shoulder to the hip measurement. So at the shoulder to the hip measurement, if you notice the jacket, the hip illusion is not exactly on the hip measurement, is a bit below. So I'm going to be adding say 2 inches to the shoulder to hip length, okay, because the hip illusion is not exactly on the hip itself, it's a bit lower. So I'll be marking the same thing on this part, and then I join everything with the help of a straight through, just like so. As we proceed, why not click on the subscribe button if you haven't done so? Please put up your post notification bell to get notified whenever I put up a new video. Thank you guys. So having marked out all our points, let me pull down the names of the points for clarity's sake, okay? So I have all the points named out. So next I'm going to be imputing all the horizontal measurements, and I'm going to be starting with the shoulder measurement, and the shoulder measurement will be divided by 2 plus our seam allowance of 1 inch, okay? So this is the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus 1 inch seam allowance. So this is the armhole area, and I'm going to be curving out the armhole area with the help of a curve rule, just like this. And next I'm going to be marking out all the horizontal measurements divided by 4 plus seam allowance. So this is the bust of 38 divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch seam allowance. I do the same thing to the under bust band. Whatever your measurement is, just divide by 4 and add your seam allowance. I'm using a seam allowance of 1.5. Then coming to the hip area, we know that we have a hip illusion around here, and we saw how the hip looked like. So I'm going to be marking out the hip divided by 4 plus 5 inches, okay? So for the hip area, I'm going to be adding 5 inches seam allowance, okay? So that is it for the hip, and then I join all my points all the way from the armhole all the way down. Please note that you can always join your points with a free hand, just in case you do not have the curve rule. Do not put yourself under any unnecessary pressure, okay? And having joined the points at the upper part, coming down to the hip area, joining the waist to the hip might not necessarily give me the shape I want, because it's going to make it look a bit bigger than I intended it to be. So I'm going to be using a free hand to join to get exactly the shape I want. So this is me using the free hand. Then at the lower part, I can now come back to my curve rule to give me that very pencil-like shape at the lower part, and this is what it looks like, guys. You can see how the shape has come out. You have the hip illusion looking very beautiful already. So I'm going to be marking out the neckline area. I'm going to be using 3 inches, okay? Then at the neck depth, I'm going to be using 15 inches. And then I have the neck width and the neck depth joined together just like this. And after I'm done doing that, I'm going to be extending this point by 4 inches. This is because of the lapel extension. That depends on how long or how wide you want your lapel to be. So I'm going to be extending this part by 4 inches, and I'm just going to mark a very short straight line just like so. So this is the lapel is going to fall on any of these parts. So I'm going to be extending this line downwards and outwards just like this, okay? So this is me extending the lapel area. So, and I'm going to be extending the upper part too. It's not going to be a straight line, it's going to be a slant line just like this. And this extension is going to be by 3.5 inches. And next I'm going to be marking out another slant line upward, just like this. Is not straight. Look at how it is looking slanted upwards. And this is going to be the width of my collar. So any width you want for your collar is what you're going to be using. I use 3 inches, and I'm going to be joining this point to this point. If you cannot achieve this with your free hand, you know what to use, okay? So, and next I'm going to be curving out this point. This is going to help me with the back by the time I'm joining. And next I mark out 1 inch downward for the slanting of the shoulder line, and then I slant it just like this. And then guys, I come down to this lower part. I'm going to be curving the lapel back to the body of the jacket like this. This is for the lapel. And next I'm going to be joining this point to this point. We can see how the shape of the front looks like. The front has its own shape, and that is what I want to mark out at this point. So I'm going to be joining this point together, but I'm not going to be joining exactly to meet this other curve downwards. I'm going to be marking out 1 inch from the curve at the down, and then I join it together from this point all the way to the 1 inch point I marked. And guys, this is what the finished pattern drafting look is looking like. So next I'm going to be cutting out all the points. Please note where I am cutting and where I'm not cutting, so you can see how I cut along all the drafted areas. So guys, once again, please click on the subscribe button if at this point you haven't subscribed. Please, I need all the support I can get from you guys. So this is what our front pattern is looking like. And by the time I fold the lapel area, this is what I have, guys. So our front is ready. Let's go to the back. And the first thing to do, as always, is to mark out the vertical measurements, and I'm going to be getting the length first. Please note that the back length of jacket is always longer than the front. I have that explained in my previous jacket tutorial already, so you can just check that out to understand exactly what the reason is. So I have the vertical measurements marked out: the armhole, the breast point, the under bust, the half waist, and then the shoulder to the hip measurement. Please note that I did not use the exact vertical measurement like the armhole length, the breast point, and shoulder to under bust and all that. I added 1 inch. This is to allow it fall to the front like I said earlier. Please check out the previous video to understand why this has to be done. So these are all the vertical measurements marked out, and then I'm writing out all the points for clarity's sake as always. And next I'll be marking out the horizontal measurement, starting with the shoulder divided by 2 plus 1. Okay, so this is the armhole area. I'm marking out shoulder divided by 2 plus 1. So I have the armhole area marked out, and I do my curving with my free hand. In case, like I said, in case you don't have a curve rule, do not put yourself under pressure. So I'm going to be imputing all the horizontal measurements divided by 4 plus seam allowance. You already know how to go about all this. Just divide your bust measurement, the under bust band, the hip measurement, the waist measurement. Divide all these by 4 and add your required seam allowance. And remember, the seam allowance I'm using here is 1.5 inches. That's 1.5 inch seam allowance. So that is what I'm marking. And at the hip also, remember, I added 5 inches. So I'm going to be joining all these points with my free hand. This is just to tell you that you don't necessarily need a curve rule at every point in time. So this is me putting the front on the back. You can see even with my free hand, I have the same thing I have when I use the curve rule. Okay, so if you have mastered your craft, you should be able to do all this with your free hand as well. So this is what the back pattern looks like. And next I'm going to be marking out the neckline area. Remember, the neckline area, I use 3.3 inches as the width, and then 1 inch as the depth for the back. So I'm going to be marking out 1 inches downwards for the slanting of the shoulder line, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so next I'm going to be cutting out along all the marked out area, and this is what my back pattern looks like at the end of the day, guys. I cutting out the neck area as well, and we have the final look. But before that, remember, the back always have a curve at the back part. Our back is not straight, it is dented inwards at the back. So I'm going to be taking in 1/2 inch inwards so that we can have our desired curve and shape at the back. So I'm taking it in by 1/2 inch, and then I have my curve with the help of my curve rule. Always use your free hand if you do not have a curve. I'll always mention this. So I have the curve, I have it curved out, and I cut it out. This is to give us the shape we should have at the back, like I said. So this is our two patterns, the back pattern and the front pattern. And at this point, our both patterns are ready. And then I place the front pattern over the back pattern, just to illustrate what I meant when I was talking about the back pattern being longer than the front. So by the time I fold the back shoulder over the front, you can see how it is relaxing on the front. So guys, our pattern is ready. See you all in my next video where I'll be showing us the stitching process of this jacket. Thanks for watching. Bye.
aiming for